The strangest request of my entire life came from a woman whose eyes looked like they had been carrying 1,000 silent storms. She grabbed my sleeve in the middle of a crowded train station, looked at me like I was her last hope, and whispered words I never expected to hear from a stranger. "Please, pretend you know me." For a moment, I thought I had misunderstood her. The station was full of noise, footsteps, announcements, and people rushing toward their destinations, but somehow her quiet voice felt louder than everything around us. I didn't know her name. I didn't know her story. I didn't know why she was scared. But something in her eyes told me that whatever was chasing her was far more painful than a simple misunderstanding. Before we begin this emotional journey, if you believe that kindness, compassion, and second chances can change someone's life, take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel Echoes of Hope for more inspiring stories. My name is Caelan, and before that day, I thought I understood what it meant to be alone. I had spent years building walls around myself after losing the people I loved most. I went to work, came home, ate dinner in silence, and convinced myself that being invisible was easier than being hurt again. I wasn't the kind of person who believed in miracles anymore. But that afternoon, a stranger forced me to look at life differently. She was standing near platform 7, holding a small worn-out bag against her chest. Her dark hair was messy from the wind, and her hands were trembling. She kept looking behind her as if she was afraid someone would appear. I slowly asked, "Are you okay?" She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she looked at me and whispered again, "Please. Just for a few minutes. Pretend you know me." There was fear in her voice, but there was also something else. A desperate hope. I looked around. People were walking past us, not noticing the silent battle happening right in front of them. Maybe it was foolish. Maybe I should have walked away. But I remembered something my grandmother used to tell me when I was younger. Sometimes the smallest kindness you give someone becomes the reason they survive another day. So I nodded. I smiled and said, "There you are. I've been looking everywhere for you." Her expression changed instantly. The fear in her eyes softened for a second. She played along. She smiled back. And for those few moments, we were two people pretending to be something we weren't. A couple of minutes later, I saw a man entering the station. He was scanning the crowd, looking frustrated. The woman beside me immediately became tense. Her fingers tightened around her bag. "That's him," she whispered. I didn't ask who he was. I didn't want to make her more afraid. I simply stood beside her. The man walked closer, but when he saw us together, he stopped. He stared for a moment, then turned away. A few minutes later, he left. Only after he disappeared did the woman finally breathe. She looked at me with tears in her eyes. "Thank you," she said. I nodded. "Who was he?" She looked down. "My name is Seraphina," she said quietly. And that man was the reason I had to disappear. We sat on a bench far away from the crowd. The train station continued moving around us, but our little corner felt strangely still. Seraphina told me she had spent years living a life that looked perfect from the outside. She had a successful career, a beautiful home, and people who believed she had everything. But behind closed doors, she had been trapped. The man following her was someone she trusted. Someone who slowly took control of every part of her life. He convinced her that nobody else cared about her. He made her believe she had nowhere to go. She didn't leave because she didn't want freedom. She stayed because she had forgotten she deserved it. That day, she finally found the courage to run. But running meant leaving behind everything she knew. "I didn't know who would believe me," she said. "I thought everyone would ask why I stayed so long." Her voice broke. "I thought they would blame me." Those words stayed with me. Because I realized something. People often see someone's pain only after they escape it. They don't see the invisible chains that held them there. I told her she deserved to be heard. And for the first time in a long time, she looked like she believed it. I helped her contact someone she trusted. I stayed with her until she was safe. I thought that would be the end of our story. But life had other plans. A few weeks later, I received a letter. There was no return address. Inside was a simple note. Thank you for pretending to know me when I felt like nobody in the world did. I read that sentence again and again. Because I realized she had given me something too. A reason to care again. After years of shutting myself away, I started noticing people around me differently. The tired cashier who always smiled despite looking exhausted. The old man sitting alone every morning at the cafe. The neighbor who never opened her curtains. I began wondering how many people were silently asking for help without saying a word. Months passed, and one evening, I saw Seraphina again. I almost didn't recognize her. She looked different. Not because of her clothes or her appearance. Because she looked free. She was volunteering at a community center, helping people who had gone through difficult situations. When she saw me, she smiled. I was hoping I'd see you again, she said. I smiled. You seem different. She looked around the room filled with people laughing, talking, and healing. You changed my life, she said. I shook my head. I only stood beside you for a few minutes. She smiled. Sometimes a few minutes is enough to remind someone they're not alone. Her words touched something inside me. For years, I believed my own pain had made me weaker. But watching Seraphina rebuild her life taught me that pain can also become a bridge. It can connect us to others. It can make us kinder. That night, I went home and looked at an old photograph of my family. For the first time in years, I didn't feel only sadness. I felt gratitude. Because even though I had lost people I loved, their kindness was still living inside me. And maybe that was the greatest lesson Seraphina gave me. A stranger's life can change because you chose to care. A broken heart can heal because someone showed up. A single moment of kindness can become the turning point someone desperately needed. Years later, when people asked me how my life changed so completely, I always told them the same story. I told them about the woman who whispered, "Pretend you know me." And how, in helping her feel seen, I finally learned how to see the world again. Before the story ends, I want to ask you something special. If this story touched your heart, please write "Kindness Matters" in the comments. I want to know how many people still believe that one small act can change another person's life. And if this story moved you, please support this video by liking, sharing, and subscribing. Your engagement helps these stories reach more people who may need a little hope today. Because sometimes the person standing next to you isn't looking for a hero. Sometimes they're only looking for someone who will stay. And sometimes, the smallest act of kindness becomes the moment that changes everything forever.